malnourishing, humiliating, sleep depriving. That's not tough love.
She went to Turnabout 4 or 5 years ago, and she had a bad experience. You know, obviously I would hate that. We'd be sorry about that.
There's too many stories and there's too many people behind this that you can't save your ass anymore. My mother signed a consent of release of information to send progress reports directly from Turnabout to the Dr. Phil show. So when you say you don't have any feedback from them, that is not true.
Let me tell you something, it ain't her you got to worry about.
Good.
I'm your worst nightmare, girl. 5 years in prison.
At CEDU, I was not allowed to speak to or look at my peers.
I really want to get my whole story out there.
The staff verbally abused me, calling me vulgar names that should never be said to a child.
You have no evidence. You don't have a phone there. They don't have cameras there. Like, there's no evidence. And obviously all the staff is in on it, so they're not gonna snitch on each other. All you really have is the kids that are there.
Would you rather go to jail or would you rather go to a ranch?
The ranch.
Oh, hi. Welcome to BJ Investigates, a show I just created and might never do again. Today, we're gonna take a little dive into the troubled teen industry. I obviously became more aware of this industry whenever Paris Hilton released her documentary a couple years ago called This Is Paris. But y'all know the one that she made about going to that troubled teen home. So let's just get right into the story. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk a little bit about some other victims of the troubled teen industry. And of course, as you know, as he is wont to do, Dr. Phil makes an appearance. Look, listen, don't shoot the messenger. So as many people have come to coin her, Paris Hilton is largely known as the first influencer.
You bitches ain't like me. Brand new style, 120s on the feet. And I don't do a thing for the free. All up in the Ritz and we're fucking to the beat. Ice cream Kelly on me. Lemonade Bob, let it dance in the breeze. We're getting tan in the keys. I need an X-Pill and a man with the sleeves.
And I can't really disagree. I was, in my early teen years, in the early 2000s to mid 2000s, and I definitely remember there being an electricity around Paris Hilton and a hype around her that I don't remember seeing around almost anyone else. I mean, Kim Kardashian even, exists today in the form that she does because of her proximity to Paris Hilton in the mid 2000s. So what I didn't know about Paris until she made this documentary a couple years ago was that she has daily nightmares about her experience in this troubled teen home called Provo Canyon, based in Utah.
I experienced it, and to this day, I'm still traumatized. And I think the only way to have these nightmares stop is to do something about it.
Now, another thing I did not know about Paris that I learned from watching that documentary is even though they are Hiltons in her family, her dad is a Hilton, the hotel people, he was kind of like cut off from the fortune of the family. So he does own hotels, but he kind of had to make his way on his own, unlike some of the other more spoiled and entitled Hiltons. But that was we saw it in the 2000s that because Paris is rich or because she has a famous last name, that it must be the case that she never had any problems. And of course, I would disagree with that. It's one of the biggest things I talk about on this channel is that just because someone is stereotypically in a position where you wouldn't think that they could be a victim of something, like Britney, like Bam, like Eminem's daughter, right? Like Kendall Jenner, it doesn't mean that they aren't victims of some horrible stuff sometimes. Not only was Paris basically the first influencer in the internet age, but she also essentially started a paparazzi movement. Now, I don't want to discount what Britney Spears was also doing. She just came out recently and said that was one of the most fun things about being famous was playing chase with the paparazzi. But Paris Hilton in her own right was certainly followed around. So Paris started the paparazzi movement. One photo could get anywhere from $50,000 all the way up to $1 million. So I don't know, like that is pretty intense. A picture of you to be valued at least $1 million, that's pretty intense. But Paris reports in her documentary that she is afraid to go to sleep at night because she is haunted by the horrendous and horrible traumatic experiences that she did have at Provo Canyon. So one nightmare that is particularly compelling that Paris describes is based on a real event that happened to her. She says that when she was a young girl, I think she might have been between the ages of like 14 and 16. I think she was around 16 years old. This is my worst nightmare, okay? Two men came into her bedroom in the middle of the night. They grabbed her and they asked her, do you want to do this the easy way or the hard way?
I have horrible insomnia. I'm scared to go to bed at night. I always have this recurring nightmare, no matter what I do. I slept like 3 hours. The nightmare was like, felt so real. I was just screaming and crying and like telling someone to help me, and it is real.
Bam Margera, who says he was lied to and set up.
So, my family, Jackass, has betrayed me, abandoned me, rejected me.
I haven't talked to you in a while because I got my phone taken away 200 days ago.
He said that people lied about him and said that he was armed and dangerous. He said that wasn't true, but they come, the Stephen B. Timmers of the world, the interventionists, they come and they take you against your will to these facilities. Now, I guess we should make a distinction between someone who is a child who's under the age of 18 and someone who's over the age of 18. But how was Britney Spears' dad not in control of her life just as much as Paris Hilton's parents were when she was 16? I don't know. I think it's something worth talking about. So this school's main campus reportedly is Provo Canyon, but a lot of the staff and the workers and maybe even some of the students from these schools have left Provo Canyon and actually started their own schools of a similar ilk in Utah. Paris gets into her background and she gets into talking about her story, and she says that she moved to New York as a teenager and she was the new girl and she was actually bullied. She was subjected to a very strict upbringing in her childhood and young adulthood as she was growing up as a teenager. She was subjected to etiquette classes and she was not allowed to go out. She was not allowed to date. So, I mean, I think a lot of people probably had similar puritanical upbringings if you grew up in like a Christian evangelical type of household like I did. But yeah, it was like no Halloween, can't read Harry Potter, can't wear pants, can't cut your hair. It was like, honestly, it was like a rotating door of religious beliefs. Sometimes, you know, my mom would believe in some religious belief and sometimes she wouldn't. But they were definitely used against me. And I don't think that just because something happens to a lot of people doesn't mean it's any less traumatic. She was subjected to, you know, be tame and to be someone that she isn't. And we know the psychological effects that can bring on a person, especially a little girl. That's when Paris started getting into modeling. She was going clubbing, which was against her parents' rules. And she says that she felt that she was sent away to be hidden from polite society in order to kind of keep her away from the possibility of ruining her parents' reputation. And honestly, that's just pretty heartbreaking. Like, I could get into all the horrible things happened to me when I was a kid, but one thing my parents never did was acted like, you know, I was somehow the family embarrassment. Actually, that's not true. Sorry, Mom. So then of course, we can't talk about any of this stuff without bringing up a Page Six or a TMZ article. So Page Six is doing stories at the time. Paris' mom sent her the first time to an emotional growth school in the wilderness, and it was like a boot camp, and she had to do boot camp style manual labor, which she was not trained or equipped to really do as a little girl. Paris was being yelled at, so she did exactly what the fuck I would do and ran away. And you people stupider than me sit here and yell at me, I'm paying you. We're paying you to be here. You're not about to yell at me, ma'am. That's what I would have ran away. No shoes, no shirt, no problem. I am gone. Find me if you catch me if you can. But indeed, they did catch her. So they caught her, and then they, I guess, brought him back to where all the other girls were. And Paris reports that those two men, after they captured Paris, physically beat her and assaulted her in front of everyone else. So it was physical harm as well as this emotional, social humiliation because they did it in front of all her friends. I mean, I cannot help but think of that scene in The Handmaid's Tale where they get all the handmaids to like stone this person to death. And it's like if they don't stone the person, then they get in trouble too. It's like getting the group involved in this weird torture ritual, and I think it's real sick. After that whole fiasco, Paris eventually gets sent to another school where she, coming as a surprise to definitely not me, escaped again. Now, I think you can be anyone you want to be. I think people are dynamic and they can change. But if you're the type of person who's not about to put up with somebody's bull, you're about to run away, you're just the runaway type. Like, it doesn't surprise me that she ran away again. So good for you, Paris. Honestly, I know that you must have suffered tremendous repercussions and consequences from that decision, but I so identify with it, and it's exactly what I would have done. None of the adults around you are smart enough to figure out that this is bad for you, and so you have to take it upon your own self to do what's best for you and your body and your future and your emotional health. You have to get out of those situations sometimes. So good on you for doing that at such a young age. I cannot imagine the trauma you had to endure as a consequence, but good for you, and I'm glad you ran away. So as Paris's movement goes along, more victims are gonna come forward, more people come out and they say, yes, oh my God, this happened to me. I thought it was a dream. I thought it was just me. I thought it was, they were taking it out on me, whatever. Bunch of people, probably thousands, start coming out about breaking code silence. I even have people in my comments section every now and again with that hashtag. They say that they have been taken by the troubled teen industry. There's like state sanctioned versions of these called Youth Challenge Program that the state National Guards do. And it's like the same type of stuff. They're eating slop, they're doing manual labor, they're not allowed to shower with hot water, all this stuff. Some of the more notable, and not to say more important, but some of the more notable and have gotten a lot of press coverage victims of breaking code silence, of course, is Paris Hilton and a young woman by the name of Danielle Bergoli, who had appeared on Dr. Phil's show as the Cash Me Outside girl.
Everything has to be Barbara Ann's way or no way. She'll go after me.
God, bitch!
Like if I tell her like hit me, she'll try to hit me and I gotta like dodge her. Cause if she hits me, I'm giving it to her. And I'm pretty violent. I mushed her in the face cause she wouldn't get out of my face. Either I'm breaking down her door or she's breaking down my door. I don't stop till I start seeing dents in the door. Cause I knew what I was doing when you did it. She's so over exaggerated. But she'll be like, oh, she threw boulders at my window. The pebble's like this little. She'll threaten me. If you don't do this or that, then I'm gonna call your PO.
You got one more time to hit me, Danielle. You got one more.
I ran out 4 times in one day. And the cops brought me back every time. She wants me to be sent away. You want me just as bad, put me in jail.
So tell me what you think you're doing that contributes to this chaos and this problem.
I don't behave, I'm disrespectful. I steal cars. I steal her credit card. I ain't gonna lie, there's no reason to lie. Everybody know already, like.
What do you say to yourself that gives you the right to take somebody else's car?
I'm talking to be sliding. You mean? That's what makes me want to take the next bitch car.
What now? I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Are you speaking English? Do you have an accent of some sort?
Tell them where it comes from. You know.
From the street.
Oh. Okay, so tell me again, what is it you say to yourself that gives you the right to take somebody else's car?
I don't say anything to myself. I just say, all right, there's a car. There's some keys right in front of me. I know where the car at.
You know where the car at? So what do you think is going to happen when you happen to steal somebody's car that disagrees with that and decides that they're going to drop a hammer on you and prosecute you to the full extent of the law?
Then I do my time in jail. Jail ain't nothing. That's what I always do, and they never catch me. Ain't nobody gonna catch me.
Because you're too streetwise?
Yup. And all these hoes laughing like something funny.
She's talking about the audience, that they're laughing at her.
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
Yeah. Catch me outside. How about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you outside? What does that mean?
What I just said.
Catch her outside and she'll go outside.
You need to do one of two things. There is an alternative here, and I want to add Kristen Hayes to the conversation here. She's the outreach director at Turnabout Ranch. And I asked Kristen to come here because this is an alternative. Because in my view, one thing you do not do in this life is you just don't reward bad behavior. She's stealing your car, she's stealing your credit card, she's stealing this woman's car. If that doesn't have consequences, then it will repeat itself. So one of two things needs to happen. She either needs to be fully prosecuted and go to the penitentiary, or as an alternative, I've asked Kristen Hayes to come here, and Turnabout Ranch is a real working ranch where real values are taught to create real lasting change. Kristen, is there ever been a better fit for Turnabout Ranch?
This is a great fit. It's really a great fit. Turnabout Ranch is a residential treatment center for teens that's set on an actual working ranch, and it's in southern Utah. And it is so unique in that students get to receive therapy, attend classes, and make up school credits that they've missed, and learn values like responsibility, accountability, and respect for themselves and others, while also developing self-efficacy and self-esteem through ranch chores and our amazing horsemanship program. And this is such a positive and life-changing opportunity for your whole family, actually, because we do require that you all participate in the therapeutic process.
And this isn't her choice. This is your choice. You've asked for my help, and that's what I'm telling you. Would you rather go to jail, or would you rather go to a ranch?
The ranch. It's time to step up and be strong. Are you willing to support this?
Yes.
All right. I want to thank my guests today, and a special thanks to Kristen Hayes, Outreach Director from Turnabout Ranch, and Hired Power, the youth transport service who makes sure she gets there. Log on to drphil.com and share your thoughts on our message boards. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter. We will see you next time. Thanks so much. All right, thanks, guys. Brittany, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you.
Why don't you want to go to the ranch?
I'd rather go home and just go back to school, do what I gotta do.
Are you going to resist going?
I have to go from here.
I believe so.
Y'all got 5 seconds. This camera smell on my face before I punch both of y'all in your mouth. I swear to God on everything. Y'all better both get these cameras from my face. I ain't playing with none of y'all right now, bro. I'm about to start swinging on my mama. I'm about to start swinging. I will break your camera, I swear to God. Bro, I'm about to put this water all over your camera. Whoa! Stop! I swear to God, bro, move! Move! Get the out of bro!
I truly believe Turnabout is the best place for us. I don't care if she's upset. Hands down, this has to happen.
Danielle Bregoli's stage name is Bhad Bhabie.
Hi, bitch.
I think that it's Bhad Bhabie, but I mean, your guess is as good as mine. So she joins the Breaking Code Silence movement in support of a young woman named Hannah, another victim who had come out. Hannah was inspired by Paris's movement, her documentary, to come out with her story of sexual assault. So in Paris's documentary, she also talks about the trauma that she endured when her tape was leaked. And she says, unlike some people, her tape was literally leaked against her consent without her permission. And she describes that situation as something I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but she said it felt like basically being repeatedly victimized over and over again. So this person named Hannah, another victim, she sees the story, she sees the documentary, and she comes out with breaking code silence. Hannah also was a guest on Dr. Phil, where they took her from the studio to a place called Turnabout Ranch. Now, Turnabout Ranch is the same place that Bhad Bhabie was sent. Hannah's parents said they trusted the school because Dr. Phil recommended it. So Bhad Bhabie releases her own YouTube video, and editing on point, story on point, good job. It's very much giving Allison Stoner exposing the toddler to train wreck pipeline vibes, and I love that type of video where someone just sits down and tells you the truth. Bhad Bhabie released a YouTube video and an Instagram live on her experience at Turnabout Ranch that Dr. Phil had sent her to. She reports being malnourished, sleep deprived, and taken in the middle of the night, just like Paris was. She also says something about another student killed a worker while they were there and injured another person, and they could not go to a hospital. They couldn't shower, and they had to walk the arena. I'm guessing it's like taking laps. Another form of punishment that they would put the girls through while Bhad Bhabie was at Turnabout Ranch was picking up manure. What kind of manure? I don't know, maybe it was cows or something. But it's gross, right? Doing manual labor. And these kids, probably a lot of them, their parents are paying a lot of money to be here. I don't know how much she was paying, because basically Turnabout Ranch got free advertising from the Dr. Phil show to have Bhad Bhabie go there, because everyone knew Cash Me Outside girl. Everyone knew who that was. And so I believe that if she could have been a good, positive case, if they could have successfully reprogrammed her to be this docile and compliant person through the use of literal prisoner of war techniques, then she would have been a great advertisement for Turnabout Ranch. So I'm not saying that for sure Turnabout Ranch is giving Dr. Phil money or he's getting any kickbacks, but I am saying for sure that if your recovery center gets mentioned on Dr. Phil's show, people are gonna know what it is and they're gonna trust it, just like Hannah's mother did, because it has Dr. Phil's seal of approval on it. Now, we can get into an argument about whether you should be trusting somebody like that, can't even take care of his own self, seems like, but I digress. So Danielle, or Bhad Bhabie, she says that she got a UTI while she was at Turnabout Ranch, and they accused her of faking it to try to run away, which, I mean, I would try to run away if I was in that situation. She said that they would not take her to get medical care for the UTI. She said she wrote her mom letters that were never actually sent. And she said after coming out about Turnabout Ranch, they allegedly liked a comment on Facebook or somewhere of a commenter calling Bhad Bhabie a liar. She then sent them a message about it to confront them. When Danielle, or Bhad Bhabie, is describing her experiences, she says they strip you of yourself. Paris, as we remember, said that they gave her a number. She was number 127. And many who went through these schools say even years after finding themselves, it's hard to really accept yourself and love yourself. It's very easy to lose yourself and your identity because they had already done such strong programming on taking away your identity and who you are, to break you down, to build you up into the person that they want you to be, or more appropriately, that your parents or your controllers want you to be. And that's not to say every parent is a controller. I think there's a very small subset of parents who would send their children to a place like this, especially now knowing what we know. And if you're the type of parent who does send your kid to stuff like this, I would actually strongly encourage you to reconsider it, because it's very bad for children. It's very bad for development. It's very bad for trust and relational dynamics, and your child will very likely hold resentment against you forever. So maybe figure out another way besides sending them to one of these prison camps. So once Bhad Bhabie posts her YouTube video, she gives Dr. Phil, in true That Surprise Witness fashion, 14 days to respond, which I loved. Good for you, girl. Good job. Dr. Phil then does an interview where he says, basically, not my circus, not my monkeys. I just work here, basically. He says he isn't involved with the treatment center. The negative experiences that are had there are between Bhad Bhabie and the facility. Dr. Phil responds to Bhad Bhabie's accusation of abuse at the troubled teen camp, Turnabout Ranch, and talks about the pitfalls of TV therapy. However, that is the treatment center that is still listed on his website as of the taking of the notes for this video. And Danielle, that's Bhad Bhabie's mom, signed a consent form to allow the Dr. Phil show to get progress reports from Turnabout Ranch, and Danielle responded again. She made a series of YouTube videos about the situation, so she did respond about that allegation as well.
So since I made my Breaking Code Silence video, I have gotten hundreds and thousands of emails and DMs and all types of stuff from multiple kids kids wanting to give me their stories. It just shows me, like, you know, I'm not the only one that went through these kind of things. It feels good to be able to relate. I just want to keep conversation about it going. I want more and more people to hear about it. I want word of mouth to travel so that everyone who has dealt with this or knows about this or knows someone or anything like that will continue to reach out so we have more and more stories. Dr. Phil was questioned in an interview about the video, and he responded.
So Phil, I'm reading the New York Post this weekend. I open up this story about a teen rapper named Bhad Bhabie.
Bhad Bhabie.
So first of all, she goes on there calling me by the wrong name. Your kids probably listen to me. Your kids probably know who I am. Your husband probably knows who I am. So why are you acting like you don't know who I am? Once again, Danielle has brought steam to somebody's talk show. Whoop-de-doo, hasn't done it before. Anyways,
her mom brought her on the show to say I can't handle her anymore. So here's that moment off the show.
And all these hoes laughing like so funny.
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yeah. Why would this be the only clip you show of me? Why don't you show me being nominated for a Billboard award? Why don't you show me having multiple gold and platinum plaques? Why don't you show me being youngest female rapper to hit Billboard? Why don't you show stuff like that?
So the audience are a bunch of hoes?
Yeah. Catch me outside, how about that? You know the shit I was hearing in the crowd? So for you to tell me I can't say something back to people who were saying something to me? Second of all, the fucking lady who runs the show said to me, oh, when you get up there, do whatever you feel like will make a good show. Kick, scream, punch.
What else is there but some tough love?
Tough love at a fucking ranch? To me, I think tough love is like telling your kid no when they want something because you know it's better for them even if you know they really want it. Or not letting them do something that may be bad for them even though you know that they want to do it. Or telling them about themselves. That's tough love. Malnourishing, humiliating, screaming at, sleep depriving. That's not fucking tough love.
She says that the place that she was recommended to go was abusive to her, wouldn't let her sleep.
That's all I said, was that they wouldn't let me sleep. That's the only accusation. I just said, oh yeah, they wouldn't let me sleep. I'm so mad. I seen a kid get held down for trying to leave, taken there against my will. It's basically like kidnapping. They strip you from your whole personality. One of the kids, he had tried to steal a car or something. Everyone was screaming on the walkies like it was really crazy, and he ended up killing one of the staff members. And she sets up a question like, oh, this is gonna be funny. Like it's a funny matter of him sending minors to a fucking facility where they're getting abused.
She went to Turnabout 4 or 5 years ago, and if she had a bad experience, you know, obviously I would hate that. We'd be sorry about that.
This ranch is still listed on your website after a lawsuit about a murder, a lawsuit about and a lawsuit about torture.
We're not involved in that. We don't have any feedback from them, so whatever happens once they're there, that's between them and the facility.
He just said he's not involved in any treatment facility I go to. Are you fucking nuts? Are you actually fucking nuts? I'm really trying to keep my composure, but these two are really not making it easy. My mother signed a consent of release of information to send progress reports directly from Turnabout to the Dr. Phil show. So when you say you don't have any feedback from them, that is not true. So if you're saying you don't have any feedback, maybe you should be getting feedback about these places before you're just sending multiple people's kids here. You're just trying to save your ass. That's all you're trying to do is save your ass. But there's too many stories and there's too many people behind this that you can't save your ass anymore.
As soon as she had a problem, she filed a complaint with the proper authorities or something 5 years ago. So I really don't know much about it.
You're also saying that when I was 13, I should have known how to file a complaint about a program. The only thing that made me comfortable was Hannah speaking out, so I'm going to talk about it now. Someone needs to have her back. That's all it was.
I don't ask myself why you're the way you are. I ask myself why not. Because if you look at their upbringing, and I'm not talking about this story, it was 5 years ago. I don't remember too much about it.
So Dr. Phil says he doesn't remember much about Bhad Bhabie, although he talks about her in many interviews, and her clips are some of the highest viewed on his YouTube channel, and that does not come as a surprise to me. I would say that Bhad Bhabie is one of Dr. Phil's most famous guests of all time. So for him to say he doesn't remember her, I find that highly not credible. Then Paris, of course, taking this full circle, came out and showed her support for Danielle. After Danielle's video, a YouTuber, Abby Parker, did videos on her experience at Turnabout Ranch.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm back with another Turnabout Ranch video today. I had a friend there and she was lactose intolerant and they always had soy milk for her. But her mom had to talk to them and tell them that she wasn't lying so that she wouldn't have to drink the milk. I'm pretty sure she did have to drink it at first, and then when they finally contacted her mom, they started to get her soy milk. So we could not have condiments like salt, pepper, ketchup, butter, like any condiments down at Roundy. Once you got up to the barn, you could. And again, Roundy was just for 2 weeks, and then you're at the barn for like 2 months, a little over 2 months. 2 weeks is the minimum you spend at Roundy. If you do like everything right, you can stay there longer, but the usual is 2 weeks at Roundy and the rest of the time up at the barn. At Roundy, so the first 2 weeks, you don't get a pillow at all. Once you get up to the barn, you can have the condiments, the pillows, washing machines. It's like a lot better up there. As far as the shaving, no, we couldn't shave the whole time. We didn't have access to razors whatsoever. Midterm, I think it was 3 days in the middle of our time at Turnabout Ranch that our parents would come up there. And I heard of girls like shaving during that time because you could go out of the ranch and go to your parents' hotel, you could go eat with them and all that kind of stuff. And I had heard of girls doing that. I didn't ever shave the whole time, which got uncomfortable, but you got kind of used to it, and it was just one of the weird rules that you got used to. I guess the reason for it, they didn't want us to have razors in case we would cut ourselves maybe, or just they didn't want us to have access to things that were privileges. And then also her talking about not being able to contact your parents. You really couldn't. There was times I would be in therapy and my therapist would call my parents so I could talk to them, but we didn't have access to a phone like at all. We could write letters, and I don't think that they read them all, maybe, not that I know of, but they would look at pictures if you sent pictures, or if you received pictures, it would say photos inside on the envelope, and a staff member would have to like watch you open it to make sure it wasn't like, I don't know.
Abby says she knows Danielle is not lying. She was also sent to Turnabout Ranch after acting out due to a trauma from SA. Many teens describe Roundy, which is level 1 at the school. You have to sleep on the floor with no pillows. Once you leave Roundy, you get to go up to a loft and sleep on a wooden plank with no pillows. Then eventually you can graduate to the barn and have an actual bed. What in the no room in the inn is this shit? She said that if you had water in your water cup, the staff members would dump it on your head. You are not allowed to have water in your cup if you were not actually drinking it. No wonder that Danielle got a UTI while she was there. Abby had to walk the arena because they were talking about music they liked. Dancing, music, or anything related to the home life, that you lived before you got there and were assigned your new number in the prison camp, was strictly prohibited. You could not talk about that stuff or else you could get in a lot of trouble. Bhad Bhabie, Danielle, she said that she was given this walking around the arena punishment because she was caught singing. And again, I have to point out how inhumanely traumatic that is. Like Bam said it, right? When he was in a forced treatment for a year, he wasn't allowed to choose his own music. And you have to be, if you're trying to heal or recover from anything, you need to be able to express yourself musically or listen to the music of your choice. And this is two different people. Look, Abby said she had to walk the arena because she was talking about music. Danielle, Bhad Bhabie, said she had to walk the arena at Turnabout Ranch because she was singing music. It's like there's something about these evil demons that doesn't want us to have music and singing. That's just my opinion. I don't know, I need to look into exactly what this means. Maybe we can put an explainer here, but walking the arena, I don't know if it's I guess it's in the middle of Utah, it must be hot. And they're just walking in a huge circle. I'm imagining a big track or something, and they're just walking in a circle. For 2 days, she had to do that. Now, couple that with the fact that it's hot as hell in Utah. Couple that with the fact that they're not bringing these girls to get medical attention, according to them, when they're sick. And couple that with the fact that they're not allowed to have water in a cup. I can imagine that this is the recipe for some very, very serious health problems. Not to mention the emotional and mental, intellectual health problems that this is going to cause for the rest of these girls' lives. And it's not just girls this happens to. It just so happens that's who we talked about today. But this happens to every gender, everybody can be subjected to this. And it's not just a rich people or a poor people thing either, because they will find a way to fund trying to put you into a prison camp and controlling your lives. I promise you that. So thanks for sticking around through all of that. It's pretty upsetting, and I'm very glad to see that these now women are speaking out about the horrendous injustices that happen to them at the hands of caretakers, at the hands of people who were supposed to have their best interest at heart. And, it does become a little bit exhausting to cover this stuff over and over, where parents are directly responsible for putting their children in some of the most horrible and horrendous environments imaginable. CC Jamie Spears, CC April Margera. But here we are. And the sooner we wake up to the fact that this stuff can happen, the better off we will be, because we will be more likely to believe young victims whenever they do come forward and say that something is wrong. Facts ain't defamation. Love you, Mina K. Bye.